Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about the island expeditions announced at BlizzCon for Battle for Azeroth. Remember to leave a like if you liked the video and to get subscribed if you want to keep up with my BlizzCon coverage. I also make other World of Warcraft videos, so it should be worth it. Anyway, with that, let's jump into the video. So, what is an island expedition, and why should we be interested? Before we answer that question, we first need to touch briefly on something called Azerite. I'll go into more details about this in my video about the Heart of Azeroth, so make sure you're subscribed if you want to see that. In a nutshell, in Legion we wanted the blood of Sargeras? Well, now that Azeroth is bleeding all over the place from Sargeras poking a big hole in her, we want to collect her blood now. Similar to blood of Sargeras and Sargerite, this stuff is immensely powerful and players are going to want to get their hands on it. Azerite, at least by the sounds of it, will be the equivalent of blood of Sargeras in this expansion, likely used for crafting recipes and other trading. It will also double as artifact power for Battle for Azeroth's artifact equivalent, the Heart of Azeroth, empowering that item as well as other items which draw power from it. We'll be collecting Azerite from various things in the expansion, and one of the primary, repeatable sources of this stuff is island expeditions. With this new source of energy, the gnomes and goblins are wanting to get as much of this stuff as possible. Accordingly, they will help us, utilizing the naval forces of the Kultirans and the Zundalari, to find various islands which are abundant in Azerite. When we get to the various islands, we'll encounter different creatures who, silly enough, think the Azerite they got to first belongs to them. We'll be sure to correct this misinformation by slaughtering them and taking it for ourselves. Jokes aside, we'll be fighting different people, creatures, and even animals for this stuff, as all creatures of Azeroth are drawn to this stuff, whether they really understand why they are or not. The island expeditions sound like they will be very similar to what we saw with scenarios you could queue up for in Mists of Pandaria. You will be able to queue and join 2 other players for the island expeditions. The roles don't really matter for joining this, but Blizzard said that they want to play with what the island will consist of depending on what roles are present in the group. The expeditions will be built to take 15 to 20 minutes to complete. With the roles not being taken into consideration for queuing, this could mean that if you have a little extra time at some point to be on World of Warcraft for about half an hour, you could jump on and knock out an expedition to collect some Azerite. While on these islands you can find Azerite nodes or seams similar to finding nodes for herbalism or mining. You can also find it in containers like chests and bags that the locals have contained the Azerite in. You can also kill Azerite infused creatures and collect some from them, as well as from quests that you'll complete on the island. Plus the obligatory bosses you'll find on the islands. Other sources will be available as well. Blizzard really wants the replayability on these island expeditions to be high. To accomplish this, there will be quote-unquote random or procedurally generated creatures and creature types on the islands we visit. I say quote-unquote because they are randomized at their core, but Blizzard wants this randomization to tell a bit of a story. The items and creatures used on these islands are not just chaos and disorder, completely random. They wouldn't want 2 conflicting creatures to be on the island side by side allies to fight you, so a short story is generated and the island around it. For instance, you find a tropical island in the middle of the night inhabited by Mogu necromancers. In the example they used, the player could go to an island bright and early in the day, find some hosen and some crabs, take some Azerite, then activate a shrine and kill a boss. More on the shrine a little later. They then could come back to the island later in the day and, lo and behold, there are now Sarok and turtles present rather than hosen and the crabs from before, accompanied by another type of shrine. The players could then return to the same island even later on, during nighttime while a storm is about. This time, Mogu have ridden here on cloud serpents. The shrine is cursed, which enhances its effects, and the Mogu necromancers have opened a portal to the crypt which is 1,000 yards below the surface where you can go to navigate the crypt and defeat a boss to take more Azerite. Moving on, when you arrive on the islands with your 2 party members of your faction, 3 members of the opposite faction will also arrive there, ready to fight for the same resources as you. For the Alliance, you might encounter something along the lines of the Spirit of Vengeance, a group of Darkspear loyalists who want vengeance for Vol'jin. They would have a Shadow Hunter, a Witch Doctor, and a Berserker. For the Horde, you might encounter something like the Wolf Pack, a group of Worgen out for vengeance for Gen Greymane. When fighting the creatures of the islands and the members of the opposite faction, Blizzard have created real artificial intelligence for the opposite faction members to use, rather than the typical run at it and smash it tactic which NPCs tend to normally have. These AI will understand the concept of using their abilities to circumvent and defeat you or your party members, as well as an understanding of the real map objectives that you are trying to go for. This leads to real strategies from the AI. Blizzard says they can develop personalities for these AI, similar to how people might act in PvP. They're calling this AI Advanced NPCs. If I had to guess, I would certainly predict that while this is legitimately a feature for the island expeditions, this is likely also testing the mechanics out so that they can implement this technology in other places throughout the game later on, similar to what we're seeing with the level scaling coming up. With island expeditions, we will have 4 difficulties. Normal, Heroic, and Mythic are the first 3, all of which being AI. The last difficulty, though, is one I'm excited for, PvP. We'll be able to compete in these island expeditions against other players. So far we have 2 islands we'll be able to explore. I'll have them up showing on the video now. The first island is Ungol Ruins, shown now. I have to say, this is probably one of the features I'm most excited for in Battle for Azeroth. The allied races are probably number 1 still, even though we can't be Void Elf Demon Hunters, sadly enough, but this is a close second for me. The second island is Havenswood, shown now. I'm hoping this feature won't get repetitive and boring and kind of like running heroics end on end. In the event that they don't, especially with the PvP option, I could see this being a lot of fun for a long time. I don't know if they would want to bring anything like the way Keystones work to the island expeditions, specifically for the Mythic difficulty AI, but that would just be icing on the cake. And the best part of the expeditions, so long as you're alright with the inevitable grind, is that it contributes to your Azerite collection, which makes your gear more powerful over time. So yeah, that's what we've got on Island Expeditions so far. Pretty exciting features, I think, and I can't wait to test it out myself. What about you? Is there anything you'd like to see out of this system? Let me know in the comments below if so, I'd love to hear. Don't forget to leave a like on the video if you liked it. Also, I'll be covering more of the details from BlizzCon 2017 in the coming days, particularly with the Heart of Azeroth being next, so get subscribed if you'd like to hear more from that. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video and I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch it. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and I'll see you next time.